We playing some gospel today.
Put your hands together. Hey, hey, yes, I am. But don't last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. But don't last always. Can I get a witness? I'm so glad. But don't last always. May not come when you want it, but it's on time. It's all your brothers. I know the Lord help you to bear. Come on, put your hands together. Let me say, trouble don't last. Listen, may not come when you want it, but it's on time. Times of trouble, found him to be a friend of mine. When storms are rising, you know, I know he'll be there. Yes, he will. Everybody in front, I know the Lord help you the best. Come on, put your hand together. Trouble don't last always. Aren't you glad to know I'm so glad? Trouble don't last always. We've been made, we've been born into the
Peace, fam. Here I come, y'all. I'm coming.
Lord, Lord, it's me again. Got to to stop trying to pretend the feeling I haven't had since we parted. It's you that I need. You're all that I ever wanted. I went astray to see what I could find for me to do something like this. I must have been out of my mind, 'cause I'm feeling like winter, ever since I went astray. Feeling like loneliness, in the worst way. I'm feeling like heartache, a heart that's about to break, because I'm down on my knees and I'm begging you, please don't renew your right spirit in me. 'Cause I'm feeling like winter, and my background sing. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me and shall be whiter than snow. Create me, a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within me. The source that I need the most. The gift of the Holy Ghost. Lord, hear my plea. Don't hold your spirit from me, 'cause I feel like winter. Ever since I went astray. Feeling like loneliness, in the worst way. I'm feeling like heartache, a heart that's about to break. Down on my knees and I'm begging you, renew your right spirit in me. Like winter, yeah. Winter. Lord, I know I went astray to see what I can find, to do something like that. Stepping out of my mind. My mind. Somebody help me say no, yeah. It's kinda chilly in here, I feel like winter. Yes, I do, yeah. Oh, feel like. I wanna come back home, The peace that I had is gone, The job that I had is gone, it's a lie, The love that I had is a lie, This is what I want you to do, Lord. I want you to shake me, make me, shake me. I want you to feel me, chill me, thrill me, hold me, mold me, control me, move me, soothe me, use me. Coming back. Been gone.
almost caught the Holy Ghost up in here. Yeah, I still listen to gospel. I love me some gospel. Wait, what you say? Hold on, where is he at? Be the change you want to see. He said, yes, sir. Good old Timothy Wright. Anyway, so some of us still listen to gospel, right? Some of us are actually spiritual. We may not embrace religion, but some of us are actually spiritual. If you hate gospel, you're not spiritual. You're fronting. So, hey, can y'all hear me good? First of all, before I go in, I got about an hour and a half presentation to put together. Can y'all hear me good? Hit that number 1. Let me get my tablet set up. Hold on. Let me get my shit together. Where my page at? How y'all doing today? Let me find my shit. Hold on. No more feeling like winter. There we go. There we go. Shit, hold on. Okay. So, first of all, I've been having a great week. I've been having a great month. All is good. I'm repping my Inglewood, the West Side today. Got my LA shirt on. You know what I mean? That's how we do it. So I don't even know if y'all know I sell beard oil and I have my own brand. It's on my bodyandherbs.com website. This is the best beard oil on the planet. Y'all can think that shit, my shit fly. I'm telling you, my shit smell good. Bodyandherbs.com. We having a commercial early. And this is my beard oil, Chief X Body and Herbs, some beard and body oil. It has a wonderful smell. In a glass and classy jar. See? Got to teach y'all some business. And I'm smoking on my cigar of the day. Let me tell you the cigar of the week. Acid, by the company Acid. Opulence 3 is the name of this cigar. Bam. And they send you a classy box. Hold on, let me show you. You pull this, you can just put it on down. It's a little classy box. I love Acid cigars. So this is the cigar of the week. Acid Opulence 3. Ain't that a nice box they send your shit in? Sometimes they send the shit in, you get it when you order a lot. Well, this is Acid also, but it's a different brand of Acid, right? I'm just talking. All right, I'm gonna get to my presentation. And you can keep these boxes for, it's real wood, for whatever you want to use. Okay, thanks, Junebug. Hit a number 1 in there. That means he can hear me clear. All the homies is in here. And we about to have class. We about to have class. What's up, T-Ben? Savages, can you hear me better now if I hold the mic to my mouth? I hope you guys can hear me good. If you can hear me good, hit the 1. If you can hear me okay, hit 2. So what's up, Mark D? Bitch Ty. I got you today, Bitch Ty. Be the change you want to see. You said YouTube finally set a notification. KC Morton, thank you. S. Rush. T-Ben, the homie. Junie Bug, KC Morton. Faith DS, well, I love you. OG Donnie Williams. Yes, just wanted to give a shout out to those in the chat. And to those who is not typing in the chat and listening and or stalking, peace to you. So check this out. I wanted to talk a little bit about pre-dynastic Egypt. I wanted to talk about Mediterranean and what is that and who is a Mediterranean people. And wanted to show you some old pre-dynastic mummies. What else are we talking about? Afrocentrics, Herodotus, Colchians, camels, Naquata culture. We're just going to talk about a few things, but it's all related to pre-dynastic Egypt, Mediterranean cultures, and some ancient times shit, right? Let me get my little note together, make sure I don't miss nothing. Hey, Chris Connors, what's happening? Which you say I'm good as long as it's up close. But you know what, Chris? I mean, Savages, because of you, I'm going to get a new mic. I want to be heard extra, extra good. I don't want to have to be up close to it like this all the time or what have you. I think you can hear me good when I do this or do this. I want to be able to be back here and just chit-chat and everybody hear me fine. So because of you, Savages, I'm going to get me a new mic. This was a starter mic I got. It was my first mic, which is a cool mic, right? Chris Connor says, hey, Chief X, can you touch on why these Egyptomaniacs never rep Kush and only Egypt? I always wonder that, right? You don't see the Egyptomaniacs repping Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco. Unless you're a Moor, you might claim Morocco and think more, and be confused, right? Is there a volume button on that mic? I do have a volume button, and I have turned it up. I'm gonna turn it down. This is what it sounds like down. This is what it sounds like up. Okay, but I'm gonna stay close to the mic as possible so there will be no problems and we can hear clear. Okay, so what do I want to start with? First, let me share my screen and let me just break down, because people are claiming, let me just say this. 3-4 years ago, I used to always say on Facebook, I ain't no motherfucking Mediterranean. Because I knew then, even before I made my presentation on Black Egypt Debunk, even before I start going in on fake-ass Black Egypt, I used to always say on Facebook, I ain't no Mediterranean. And people would look at me. So there are people called Mediterranean people or Mediterranean cultures or Mediterranean food. Okay? So Afrocentrics hate that term Mediterranean clearly and obviously because they know they can't attach themselves to the word Mediterranean or Mediterranean people. So when you start to say, I've used this as a trick, when you start to say Mediterranean people, it excludes Black Americans and Sub-Saharan Africans. You know off the rip, that ain't you. Right? So I used it to fuck with people. Right? Now, Egyptians are called Egyptians, they're called North Africans, and they could be called Mediterranean people. I could be called Black, I could be called African American. Black women can be called sisters. I mean, we have our own terms and we use in colloquialisms and shit. You know what I mean? So let's just go and talk about it. First, I want to get this Mediterranean thing out the way so people can understand and fucking get it, right? Hold on. Let me share my screen. All right, all right, all right. Here we go. So let me go to where I'm trying to go. So you have, and I just want to I'm just showing you a few brief things, right? So you can get an understanding. You have what you call Mediterranean food. I don't have to make this up. I don't know why people are getting bothered with the word Mediterranean. Mediterranean cuisines, it says, right? Is the food and methods of preparation used by people, Mediterranean people of the Mediterranean basin. The idea of a Mediterranean cuisine originates with the cookery writer Elizabeth such and such and such and such and such and such. But the region spans a wide variety of cultures and distinct cuisines, in particular the Maghrebi, Egyptian, Levantine, Ottoman Turkish, Greek, and Italian. Greece and Italy, the entire country, each of those countries is engulfed in the Mediterranean Sea. These people I named consider their food Mediterranean cuisine, Mediterranean food. This is common sense. Not sure why people are mad at this or thinking Chief X is just making up something. Nope. Egyptian food would be considered Mediterranean food. North African food in general, all these falafel eating motherfuckers, is considered Mediterranean food. Okay, we're clear on that. Let me move on to here and show something else. Hold on. People consider themselves to have Mediterranean ethnicity, right? So let's just be clear. They even had a term back in the day called the Mediterranean race, right? And it's talking about people in the Mediterranean basin. Let me blow this up. Okay? And they were talking about Southern Europe, North Africa, around the Near East, Central Asia, parts of South Asia, Horn of Africa. Where am I at? Hold on. Okay? Mediterranean people. This lady was writing an article, 4 myths of olive and darker skin tones. So Mediterranean people are people who consider themselves olive-skinned or darker or brown-skinned, right? So this lady here who specializes in skincare, what does she say? Like, you guys are mad at people. They call themselves Mediterranean people. I'm not just making this up, right? Right here, the lady says, being of Mediterranean ethnicity, I have olive skin all year around. So I'm not making this up. This is a reality. They consider themselves of Mediterranean ethnicity. Now, if she was an Egyptian living in Cairo, she considers herself having Mediterranean ethnicity. She also considers herself to be North African. She also considers herself to be Egyptian. It's okay. I can be West African, I can be Ghanaian, I can be different terms for the region that I'm from. And right here it speaks of the olive skin, right? And what? A baker with olive skin from where? Greece is an archetypal olive-skinned region. Okay? So, they're talking about type 3 pigmentation is frequent among populations from where? The Mediterranean. Southern Europe, Western Asia, and Northern Africa. All throughout here, they're talking about Mediterranean peoples. They're talking about Mediterranean skin tones. In a Mediterranean skin tone, rarely burns and tans easily. Remember that word I said. Olive skinned people, Mediterranean tone people, they tan. They tan easily. I'm leading up to something. Follow me. Okay? It's talking about a Middle Eastern skin tones. People on the Indian subcontinent, right? So I'm racial classifications. Bronze, brown, human, Mediterranean races here. You see? So, hold on, let me set my stuff up real quick. Okay. So, are we clear? It was something else. Now, I want to go in order because this has to make sense. So we have these questions. Why did the Greeks use the word melanchoros, meaning tanned, swarthy, or dark-skinned, for the ancient Egyptians? Because they are brown-skinned, dark-skinned, they are tanned people. For the ancient Egyptians, the Colchians, remember that word, that title, the Colchians. There's people called the Colchians or Colchis. The Syrians and the Cypriots. But called every black African Ethiopians, meaning burnt face. Huh? Why? Okay. Let me tackle this, and then we're gonna get into that. Okay. No. Let me just go here first. The first time Mediterranean is used, Homer uses it. So this says all the Afrocentrics there don't pay attention. Earliest classical source to mention melanchoros is Homer, Odyssey. He describes people that are no darker than a suntan in Mediterranean climate. There goes the word Mediterranean again. Okay? Hold on. Egypt, as it says here, I just want to blow it up so everybody can see, because I show and prove everything I'm talking about. Egypt, officially the Arab Republic of Egypt, is a transcontinental country spanning the northeast corners of Africa, southwest corners of Asia, via land bridge formed by the Sinai Peninsula. It's the world's only contiguous Eurafrasian nation Most of Egypt's territory, 1 million miles square 1 million square kilometers, lies within the Nile Valley. What does it say? Egypt is a what? Mediterranean country. Afrocentrics are just going to have to get over it. Egypt is a Mediterranean country anywhere you look it up. It's also an African country. Excuse me, let me be more specific. A North African country. It's a Mediterranean country. It's a transcontinental country. It's bordered by the Gaza Strip and Israel to the northeast, the Gulf of Aqaba to the east, the Red Sea to the east and south, Sudan to the south, and Libya to the west. But be best assured, it is a Mediterranean country. You niggas ain't Mediterranean. Get that through your thick skull. You guys do not belong to a Mediterranean country. You never, ever, ever did belong to a Mediterranean country. You are a tropical African. Chief X is a tropical African. The Amun-Ra Squad, Sam Netter, everybody, we are tropical Africans biologically. We come from West Central Africa, which is tropical Africa. We don't come from Northern Africa. We don't come from Mediterranean countries. None of that bullshit. Okay? I just have to put this clear so we can stop and kill this argument about Egypt not being Mediterranean. It is. And you know you're not a Mediterranean people, so it bothers you that Mediterranean country, Egypt, is considered a Mediterranean country. That's why it bothers Afrocentrics. Okay? Now, Herodotus, okay, let me just say this. Smash Rockwell, a.k.a. Jonathan Owens, Magi Archers, right, are making these claims that the Colchians were black. I put out a challenge. I challenged anyone, and I would pay them if they can prove that any nappy-headed black people who look like me and you listening, the majority of you listening, has, let me just couch it correctly. North Africa has never, ever, 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 ever in the history of mankind been black Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa, East Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, West Africa is black Africa, not North Africa. I had to lay that down because people were confused. I made the claim and I said I would pay people $100 if they can show and prove one black nappy-headed people who is indigenous, listen to my wording, who is indigenous to North Africa, the Caucasus, the Near East, the Levant, or Europe. Nobody could come up with an answer. They couldn't come up with one black tribe or nation. When I say indigenous to North Africa, I mean in a sense like the Native Americans. They migrated to a land that was barren. Nobody there. And they set up camp there, and their culture was born there in the Americas. Therefore, Native Americans are indigenous to North America, Brazil, the Caribbeans, South America, Mexico. Native Americans are indigenous to the entire Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere is considered or called the New World. Why is it called the New World? Because it was new to Africans and Europeans and Asians. Columbus discovered it. And when they say discover, they're not saying no one was there, because white folk told you motherfucking Native Americans was there. So they're clearly not trying to tell you they just discovered it before anybody else. I don't know why people use this fucking false argument. Columbus discovered America for his people. He discovered it for his people. He didn't say he was the first one there. White folk clearly told you it was a people there. So they're not making the claim that we're the first to be here and the first to discover it. What they mean is, the context is, they discovered it for themselves. And out of his clique, out of his people, he was the first to discover the Americas. You get it? So Native Americans are indigenous to the Americas and Brazil and places like that. So there's no black nappy head people who is indigenous to North Africa, Europe, the Levant, the Near East. They never were there. That's why no Afrocentric, no cat, nobody can make this $100, because they cannot name one, because not one tribe or nation was there. You guys come from a different region and area. Period. It's okay. So one cat tried to throw an answer out there, and he said Colchians. And Smash Rockwell said this. He was the only bold one to take a stab at it. So I'll give him credit for having some fucking heart and taking a stab at it. All the other cats cowered up, because they knew I had them. Smash Rockwell, the Magi Archer, a.k.a. the police, said Colchians. Because why? Because Herodotus said that they were melancholy people or black people, but he meant dark-skinned or swarthy white folk. Prove that shit, Chief X. Okay, let's go. Herodotus, let me just make sure everybody sees this. We could have a class tonight. This is the problem. Herodotus has made a bunch of crazy-ass claims. He said there was giant ants who used to dig for gold, and there was men with heads like with dogs on them. You have to be careful believing Herodotus. But he is respected in academic circles, depending on what you're talking about. And depending on the context, and it's the context that Afrocentrics like Jonathan Owens got wrong. Let's go. Herodotus and the long-standing problems in anthropology. I hope everybody can see this. Okay. Regrettably, in more recent times, anthropology and the humanities in general has placed excessive, imbalanced value on image. In my previous Merriam-West op-ed, I discussed how Afrocentrics have developed two absurd claims. Let me just blow this up. I want people to read along with me. Okay, where we at? Afrocentrics developed two absurd claims. One is the ancient Egyptians were black, which is absurd. Two, the Greeks stole philosophy from the Egyptians, which is also fucking false. Right? But people believe it because early Afrocentrics used to push this misinformation. Although Afrocentrism makes for a mix of many bizarre claims, I made a post on Facebook today saying Afrocentrics is known in the world of academic for being fuckboys. I don't want to be known for being a fuckboy. I don't want to be known for a person who steals other people's history. That's why I have denounced being an Afrocentric. And that's why I come for them on a daily basis. But let's finish reading. Although Afrocentrics make for a mix of many bizarre claims from different sources, defenders of this movement typically appeal to the Greek historian Herodotus. Okay? So, like I said, Jonathan Owens appeals to the Greek historian Herodotus because he made one statement that Afrocentrics took way out of fucking context and they lean on it. And he said the Colchians are people, are Caucasian people, next to Romania and Georgia and shit, was black, which is crazy. Okay? We have to stop. We're not going to continue to miseducate black children. The buck stops here. Starting now, we're going to stop this Afrocentric bullshit, and we're going to stop miseducating black children on purpose. That is some evil, wicked bullshit. Just because you are ashamed of where you're from and you want to attach yourself to something you think is more sexy. We're going to stop this fuckery. And Chief X is going to be put a halt to this shit. Okay, let me continue reading. In fact, some of these Merriam-Webster readers following the publication of my last op-ed wrote to me doing just that. Let me address the issue. In a description of the Egyptians, Herodotus writes, in the histories, the Egyptians said that they considered the Colchians part of Sosostris' army. I myself guessed it partly because they are dark-skinned and woolly haired, though that indeed counts for nothing since other peoples are too. But my better proof was that the Colchians and the Egyptians and the Ethiopians are the only nations that have from first practiced circumcision. As Afrocentrics see it, this passage endorses their case. So because he said that, Afrocentrics leaned on it, and they felt that it endorses their case. In no uncertain terms, Herodotus describes the Egyptians as dark-skinned and woolly-haired. Not so fast. The key word in the original Greek, listen to my words, family. The key word in the original Greek of the passage is melancholis. See, we here as black Americans, we think everybody spoke the same language and used the same wordings we use and shit like that. Nope. The key word in the original Greek of the passage is melancholis. Contrary to what Afrocentrics claim, it does not mean black in the sense of belonging to the black race. For that, Greek authors would have used Ethiops or Ethiopians. That's what they call black nappy-headed people. Etymologically, burnt face. So the Greco-Roman world considered sub-Saharan Africa, all of it, Ethiopia. The term that is indisputably referred to Nubians and other peoples in what is today sub-Saharan Africa. Herodotus does not refer to Egyptians with this term of Ethiopians. He just doesn't. He doesn't refer to the Egyptians as Ethiopians, the burnt-faced people. The term that is indisputably referred to Nubians and other peoples in what today is sub-Saharan Africa. Herodotus does not refer to Egyptians with this term. Furthermore, in the very same passage quoted above, Herodotus implies that the Colchians and Egyptians are of the same stock. Colchis is on the shores of the Black Sea, hardly an area inhabited by black people. Everyone knows, unless you're dumb as a bag of bricks, that the Black Sea area, Georgia, Romania is Caucasian people, and it's not an area inhabited by black people. So for you to jump on Colchians being black, you didn't think it through. You didn't do the proper research like I'm about to show you. Okay? Black Sea is hardly an area inhabited by black people. Melanchoros simply means dark-skinned, a term that sometimes the Greeks even applied to themselves. And other not-so-dark people such as the Syrians. Syrians were also called Melanchoros. And you know they not black nappy head, so let's stop playing. As such, given that Egypt was the older culture, Herodotus graciously assumed that the Greeks drew their culture from the Egyptians. Yeah, Herodotus was wrong. He assumed wrong. However, pace Afrocentrics, Herodotus did think that a great part of Greek culture came from Egypt. Herodotus traveled to Egypt and he was fascinated with Egyptian rituals and religious practices. For example, he believed that the cult of Dionysus in Greece was originally the cult of Osiris in Egypt. He was wrong. And that the names of the gods in Greece resembled those of the gods in Egypt. According to his views, Greek Orphic rituals are but an extension of Egyptian rituals. Herodotus' modus operandi, rather simple, he found some superficial resemblances between Greek and Egyptian cultural practices. As such, given that Egypt was the older culture, Herodotus graciously assumed that the Greeks drew their culture from the Egyptians. He just assumed this. Dionysus and Osiris are very different deities. But Herodotus claimed Dionysus was originally Osiris, based on the fact that in both of their processions, women would carry a phallus. In Orphic and Egyptian rituals, priests would not wear wool. However, this was for very different reasons. Egyptians would avoid wool because of climactic circumstances, while Orphic priests would avoid it due to animal taboos. This is simple coincidence sufficed for Herodotus to claim that Orphic rituals were formerly Egyptian. Afrocentrists take Herodotus' claims at face value. They don't give a fuck about context. They don't give a fuck about the change of language, whether melancholy is black or swarthy or dark or what. They don't give a fuck about that. They just want to lean on the fact that he was considering the Colchians dark. This is how thirsty Afrocentrics be looking, okay? So Afrocentrics take Herodotus' claim at face value, but it should merit more caution. Nigga, be cautious, is what the articles say. After all, this was the same author who wrote about gold-digging ants. Yes, Herodotus wrote about gold-digging ants. Men with dog heads and such, with little critical scrutiny. Given that Egypt was an ancient civilization with monumental architecture, Herodotus was eager to establish a connection with the Egyptians. Regardless of how anemic his comparisons may have been, in his defense, we may well accept that Herodotus did not necessarily invent all of his claims out of thin air. During his visit to Egypt, he listened to what priests told him with the assumption of veracity. They also seemed eager to tell Greeks that Greek culture derived from Egyptian culture, right? So Herodotus just fell for this pontification of the Egyptians at that time. Herodotus indiscriminately reported this in his books without proper audit. In other words, without proper research. Yet, as Mary Lefkowitz, the lady who debated John Henry Clark and beat the brakes off of him, okay, argues in Not Out of Africa, the definitive refutation of Afrocentrism. She couldn't stand that Afrocentrism bullshit, and you guys still in Greek and Egyptian culture, because at the time, you newbies won't know, at this time, Afrocentrists was claiming the ancient Greeks were black too. They don't do that as much today, But this is why they had that debate and shit, because niggas was claiming that the ancient Greeks was black. Cyrus Sutton said in 2022, he still claims that the ancient Egyptians were black. So Mary Lefkowitz had to get up on stage and defend the honor of the Greeks against you stealing ass Afrocentrics who were stealing history, romanticizing history, lying about history to black Americans. Let's continue. Lefkowitz argues in Not Out of Africa the definitive refutation of Afrocentrism. Herodotus and other Greek writers place too high a value on their informant's ethnicity, as if to be Egyptian implied an ability to know Egyptian history and to explain Egyptian customs. They imagined that the Egyptians would know about their own country because they believed that only Greeks could understand about Greece. If an Egyptian or Phoenician could not be counted on to know much about Greece, how could Greeks be expected to know about the history of Egypt? As it turns out, identity politics is quite old. Lefkowitz's description is a form of identity politics in antiquity. In this view, only a woman can speak about a women's issue. Only an African-American student can write a piece for Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest. Only Egyptian can understand Egypt. This same identity politics came back to haunt Mary Lefkowitz in her career. She would be severely abused by Afrocentrics. Y'all was so abusive to Mary Lefkowitz for no reason, just because she didn't agree that the Greeks were black or that the ancient Egyptians was black. They were severely abused by Afrocentric in debates, with them always labeling her as a racist. And she is no racist, and she's never uttered a racist word out her mouth. Okay? She would be asked if she had ever gone to Africa. And in that debate, if y'all remember, they asked her, did she go to Africa? As if she didn't go to Africa, that means she can't speak on shit and she's clueless. That was their point, okay? She would be asked if she had gone to Africa, to which she replied, no. This would then be taken as proof that she cannot be trusted. It was very silly because the crowd in that debate was biased. The moderator was biased. And all John Henry Clark and the Afrocentrist and the moderator was doing was storytelling, clowning and laughing, and being disrespectful. If you watch it, you'll see exactly that. I had to rewatch that shit a couple months ago. Okay? For her critics, how dare she refute the claims of Afrocentrism if she had never been to Africa in the first place? But even if she did go to Africa, she still would be disqualified for commenting on any African-related issue because her skin is simply not dark enough. This is how petty Afrocentrics was, trying to have a discussion with the world of academia. Okay? Contemporary anthropologists frequently advise the use of two methods in ethnographic studies, emic and etic. Emic is the viewpoint from within the informant's social group, whereas etic is the viewpoint of the outside observer. In order to truly understand a cultural phenomenon, both viewpoints must be considered. Yet anthropologists seemingly overlook that sometimes informants may simply be wrong. Can I skip this? By telling Greek visitors that everything in their culture was Egyptian in origin, the priests may have attempted to express some fervent patriotism. Okay? Herodotus seemed to have this problem. In his day and age, postmodernists are eager to ask what the hidden agendas are whenever particular points are made. Lefkowitz herself was under this scrutiny. Her critics always claimed that her debunking of Afrocentrism had some perverse hidden agenda, white supremacy, and Zionism. See, people think if you debate an Afrocentric, debunk him, disagree with an Afrocentric, therefore you're some racist and you're into white supremacy. But Afrocentrics just use those words and tactics to talk to black people to emotionally get you excited so you can say, yeah, She's a white supremacist. Yeah, she's racist. Yeah, we can't believe her. No way. And this is the mind game that Afrocentrics have played, calling everyone that disagrees with them a white supremacist. It's childish. Yet, when it comes to the claims of non-white scholars, postmodernists strangely are not interested in asking them if they have a hidden agenda. It thus comes to no surprise that Afrocentrics accuse Lefkowitz of having a hidden agenda, but they never bother to ask if Herodotus informants also had their own hidden agenda. In fact, they may very well have had one. By telling Greek visitors that everything in their culture was Egyptian in origin, the priests may have attempted to express some fervent patriotism. In any case, Herodotus and consequently Afrocentrists fell prey to what historians call parallelomania. Small parallels between two cultures are not evidence that one must derive from the other. Some Olmec figures have thick lips and flat noses, leading some Afrocentrists to presume that Africans must have reached the Americas long before Columbus, and that Olmec culture was, in fact, a derivation of black culture. The rest of the linguistic, genetic, and archaeological evidence that demolishes that claim is conveniently omitted. Like, they'll only care that the Olmec heads have a flat nose and have this certain look. They can give a fuck that the linguistic evidence, the genetic evidence, and the archaeological evidence kills their claim. But they don't give a fuck about that. Fuck science. We like lookership, is what they said. But we've debunked the Olmec thing, so we're not going over that today. It was just part of this article, okay? The absurdity of these claims could be avoided if Afrocentrics and many other pseudo-historians with similar approaches would engage more critically with historical evidence and honestly seek to pursue truth. Instead, too often they set up hypotheses as a priori and then look for conformatory evidence. So basically, what the article is saying is, black folk do what they call confirmation bias. They'll hear a claim or hypothesis, and then they'll go to researching something that validates their claim. So they do one-sided research. In a thoroughly unscientific, they do this in a thoroughly unscientific manner that gives all too little credence to the discipline of anthropology. Okay? Now, this is an article explaining what Herodotus meant and the ideology of Herodotus. Now, the Colchians, also known as the Colchi, this is where they're at. This is the Black Sea, right? Their common languages, ancient Greek, historical era, Iron Age. Okay, wait. Okay. Today, what would be considered the Colchis area is Georgia, Russia, and Turkey. That is not a black folk area. Smash Rockwell is simply wrong. All the Afrocentrics is simply fucking wrong. Okay? So nobody can get that $100 because Chief X stomped everyone. Now, also, when you go to Wikipedia and look up Egypt, it tells you let me find it. It tells you Egypt's long and rich cultural heritage is an integral part of its national identity, which reflects its unique what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did I accidentally close that link? Well, let me open it again. Let's just go to it again. Okay, here we go. Okay. Heritage is an integral part of its national identity. Egypt's national identity. They said national identity, which reflects its unique what? Transcontinental location, which is what? Simultaneously Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and North African. So did Chief X lie when he said Egypt is Mediterranean? Nope, he was correct. When Chief X said it's also North African, he's also correct. When he said it's also made up of people from the Near East, oh, Chief X is also correct. Okay? Let's not get that confused. Now, okay, here's an article the same person wrote coming for Afrocentrics. And let me tell you why. You have to understand this, right? She's talking about how this lady was bullshitting and brought up this concept of 1619 being the origin 1619 project instead of the country being founded in 1776, and that she created some false history or some revised history, right? But they equate that to what Afrocentrics do, creating false history, stealing history, and romanticizing history. Here we go. This is new wine in old wineskins. See, why do we have to be the example of people who steal histories? Only Afrocentrics in the world of academia is considered the people who steal other people's histories. We're looking bad on the world stage. Okay, here we go. There is a regrettable long history of spurious historical claims, all with the alleged purpose of countering racism, right? Because Afrocentrism started to combat Eurocentrism. Eurocentrism was a little racist. So Afrocentrics came about to counter that, and Afrocentrism was racist. Both of them racist. But Eurocentrism stopped long, long ago. Afrocentrism continues today. And I'm on their ass right now because it continues today. White folk do not claim in 2022 to be the ancient Egyptians. They'll tell you they're neither black or white. Only black Americans and Afrocentrics claim to be the ancient Egyptians. White folk don't make this claim today. So when people take you back to the 19th century and bring you examples, they're fucking with your mind and bullshitting you. Tell them niggas to keep you in 2022. What are they doing? What are people doing in 2022? Because we're having discussions in 2022. Okay? My claim is also they were neither black or white. They're North African. They're Egyptian. They're people of the Near East, people of North Africa. Okay? Afrocentrism is surely the most pathetic case. Why they got to write this about us? Because you niggas is pathetic. Afrocentrism is surely the most pathetic case. If you are a black school child and you are constantly told that your ancestors have always been brute savages, your self-esteem will likely suffer. Then, when you find out that, in fact, Africa had some important civilizational achievements, such as, say, Great Zimbabwe, but are told that the people who built it actually belonged to the white race as a so-called Hermetic hypothesis. Let's just, I'm not even going to go into the Hermetic thing. Ham and Hamitic don't mean black people either, but that's another fucking discussion, okay? Belong to the white race as a so-called Hermetic hypothesis claim. The insult is even greater. In the history of Western education, this has been all too common. However, instead of pushing back with real historical information so as to counter racist narratives, some pseudo-historians have come up with wild, absurd theories that amount to a simple turning of the tables. This is what Afrocentrism is all about. The movement began with a 1954 book by one obscure Guyanese author named George G.M. James, with the title Stolen Legacy. Wasn't shit stolen, people. Let's just make that clear. The book is bullshit. The book is trash. With the title Stolen Legacy, James took for granted that the ancient Egyptians were black. That claim in and of itself was very questionable, but James did not care to elaborate on it. He didn't really mention that black Egypt shit in his book, but he was on the Greek shit. His greater claim was that the Greeks stole philosophy from Egyptians. In this strange story, Aristotle looted Alexandria's library and claimed for Greeks all the knowledge that had been originally been Egyptian. And so, since the Egyptians were black, the real origin of Western civilization is black. Right? Whites were just cultural vultures. The left's current obsession with cultural appropriation largely derives from the thesis of those such as George G.M. James. In this narrative, whites steal cultural products from darker-skinned people, not unlike the claims made in Stolen Legacy. Yet James' theories do not hold any water. Alexandria's library was built long after Aristotle's death. Did you hear me? Alexandria's library was built long after Aristotle's death. So John Henry Clark was wrong, and Mary Lefkowitz had to correct him and say, "Excuse me, John Henry Clark, but the Library of Alexandria was built long after Aristotle died." Okay? Yes, the Egyptians had some influence on Greek art and possibly religion, but this was no theft. It was just the natural diffusional flow of any cultural encounter. Even so, when it comes to philosophy, there is little, if any, trace of Egyptian influence among the Greeks. James opened a can of worms, right? Another pseudo-historian, Sheikh Anta Diop, published in 1955, Nations, Negros, et Culture. It's French, I guess, right? Published in 1955, Nations, Negros. Unlike James, who didn't touch Black Egypt topic, Diop tried to prove at a greater length that the ancient Egyptians were black. He claimed that the language of ancient Egyptians was related to sub-Saharan languages. He was wrong on both of those claims. Dead fucking wrong, right? This is simply not the case. He also claimed that Egypt formed a cultural whole with Nubia and Ethiopia, indisputably black nations. So Diop, it started with Diop and then other Afrocentrics claiming that Egypt, Nubia, and Ethiopia is just like all one fucking people. We are the world. They're all black people. Straight bullshit. Egyptians and Nubians spoke a totally different language family. If they were family or related, they would speak the same language family. They speak a different language family. Let's keep that fucking real. Okay? He also claimed that Egypt formed a cultural whole with Nubia and Ethiopia, indisputably black nations. Again, this is dubious. Of course, there were Nubian immigrants in Egypt, they would easily be assimilated and thus become Egyptians, just as they also did in Rome or Greece. But their numbers were never very high. There may be black looking people in Egypt today, but overall, Egyptians as a whole resemble far more people of North Africa, an example, neither black or white. In the strange tellings of Afrocentrics, ancient Egyptians were all black. And the current racial makeup only came to be with the Arab invasions. We've discussed that already. We know when the Arabs came, they came in an army of 4,000 only. They did not change the population. We've had these discussions. We're clear on that. I don't have to go over that. Okay? They only blended in, and Egypt changed. And at a time when Arabs was invading, they was just falling off anyway in a very weak nation. So Egypt changed politically, religiously and politically. It became an Islamic nation. That's it. The people didn't go nowhere. They were still there. The people were not killed off. The only time they died, which the Egyptologist, it was on Garfield's live stream the other day, said because the crop changed and some people, because Arabs brought some different crops and some crops changed, therefore some Egyptians did starve and die. But in general, the people, the modern day Egyptians, are the ancient Egyptians. That's just the reality. Okay, so it's saying here, the current racial makeup only came to be with the Arab invasion. But again, this is a very inaccurate claim. The Arab invaders were not too numerous, and it can be safely argued that the physical appearance of Egyptians did not differ much from that of pharaonic times. For some strange reasons in this grand Afrocentric myth, Cleopatra is a big trophy. Hollywood portrays a blue-eyed Jesus when in fact he was probably... You know what? I remember when I was young, I used to think Jesus was black. Ain't wasn't nobody in that area black. All you Hebrew Israelites, you Egyptomaniacs, both y'all are wrong as fuck. Ain't no black inhabitants in them ancient times. Unless you was a fucking slave. And captured or brought from Nubia or other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? So you may, you know what? Like this said. So you may think that the real Cleopatra did not look like Elizabeth Taylor and in fact was black. That is what Afrocentrics like to claim. But in reality, I start doing comparison. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you if Elizabeth Taylor, who played Cleopatra, I couldn't tell you if the bitch was Greek or North African. She looks like them motherfuckers, don't she? That's why when I did that thing, I said, tell me what North African Muslim woman is this? Everybody guessed wrong. Guess why? Because she was an Italian Muslim woman. You niggas can't tell the difference between a Greek, an Italian, a Mediterranean people, a North African. You guys can't tell. A lot of you niggas cannot tell. I couldn't tell. So Elizabeth Taylor played her fucking part correctly. That's because that's how exactly Cleopatra looked, in my opinion. Okay? Okay, so where we at now? Okay, Cleopatra descended from the Ptolemaic Greek dynasty. Those rulers lived isolated from the local Egyptian population and went to great lengths as to preserve their bloodlines. Siblings and marriage was the norm, as Cleopatra herself practiced it. Much has been made of the name Egyptians used for their own country, Kemet. The name indeed means black, as the cases of niggardly and blackmail prove over. Okay, let me. Okay, she just goes on to say neither James or Sheikh Anta Diop were respectable scholars. They weren't. The world of academia did not agree with George G.M. James or Sheikh Anta Diop. And in hindsight, I don't either. They were wrong. It is okay. Okay, so I don't want to keep boring you with all that, but this is a good read. I'll try to post a link in the comment thread. Now, let's talk a little bit about pre-dynastic Egypt, right? Here is what has been a hot topic, is pre-dynastic Egypt. Now, when someone asks me, name, hold on. You know what? Let me just deal with this cataract issue. Because Jonathan Owens, Smash Rockwell, seems to think that Nubians can just travel up and down the Nile just like the Egyptians did. That is not true. You're able to travel all up and down the Nile from the Mediterranean Sea in the Delta area all the way down to the first cataract damn near in Nubia. But you keep going further south, those black Nubians aren't able to travel up and down the Nile like that because of cataracts, which are natural borders that protect Egypt from its enemies. Woodrow said this also. They differ. Jonathan Owens is the only one thinks that you can sail a canoe, run into a rock in the goddamn water, pick up the goddamn boat, and walk around rocks, put the boat back down, and continue to sail. This is how far gone Jonathan's thinking has been and how thirsty he is to want to create a fake narrative that Nubians was just flowing up and down the Nile. Nope. Cataract stopped him. What is a cataract, Chief X? Cataracts of the Nile are shallow lengths or whitewater rapids of the Nile River between Khartoum and Aswan, where the surface of the water is broken by many swells. See, I'm in the Navy, so I know a lot about this stuff. I know a little bit about navigation and where you can sail, where you can't sail, what prevents people going. I used to be on an amphib ship in the Navy, USS Cayuga, LST 1186. We carried Marines. So we had the type of ship called an amphib ship. We would drop off the Marines close to the shores, and they get off the back of our ship on these devices and float to shore and go to land and fight. You cannot navigate through and around rocks like that. Okay? But let me finish this. Cartoon has on the surface broken many small boulders and rocks jutting out of the rivers beds, as well as many rocky islets. In some places, these stretches are punctuated by white water, while at others, the water flow is smoother but still shallow. And they have 6 cataracts, right? And this is just break it all down. But let's just hear, since you guys are uneducated about a cataract, let a kid tell you. Because this little kid did some homework on cataracts, and he knows better than y'all. So let me come back to y'all because I want to share this audio. Hold on. Well, if you don't hear the audio good, it's okay. I'm just gonna play it anyway. I was gonna make sure the audio plays through the StreamYard, but let me just play the kid.
Have you ever wanted to go whitewater rafting? Yeah, me either. How about canoeing?
Now, a canoe would be something a Nubian had to sail around the little waters in their area. Egyptians had canoes also, but I call them glorified canoes. Same shit that the Ghanaians have, same shit that the Native American have. They didn't have ships, in my opinion, or advanced shipbuilding technology. Ships that can cross, that can cross large body oceans. But let's continue. Teach them, kid.
Well, you could have done both in the ancient Nile River. The Nile River is the longest river in the world, and it runs through 9 countries. Many people think that the river is only associated with Egypt, but it actually runs through 8 other countries. The Nile is also one of the 4 rivers that runs from south to north. For ancient Egyptians, the river was used to sail up Egypt's coastline to trade and travel.
Pause. For who he said? For ancient Egyptians. Did he say Nubians? Nope. We'll get into why, but let's go.
Most of the river was swift-moving and smooth, but there were a few spots that were difficult to navigate. Those are called cataracts. Cataracts are, no, not these. These are shallow parts of the river with lots of rocks, making it hard to go to the grocery store because you're out of milk and bread and Thin Mints because they're your favorite. Just kidding, you'd probably have cows and a wheat field at your house, and if you wanted to go to the grocery store, you'd have to be born centuries later, and by then, they'd probably build a bridge over the river. Teams of men sometimes had to pull the boats upward because of all the boulders and shallow, fast-moving water. You were only able to even try to sail it in the summer because that's when the river was flooded, and that was your best chance of making it. Even still, some boats didn't make it through, though. There are 6 classical cataracts that run from Khartoum and all the way down to Aswan. Only one of these cataracts is in Egypt, and the rest are in Sudan and the Great Bend. The Great Bend is where all the cataracts start and are mostly located. Now, the reason the Great Bend and the cataracts even exist is because of something called
Plate tectonics.
In this case, we'll look at tectonic uplift. If you don't know what tectonic uplift is, it's basically when 2 continental plates come together and cause the land to rise. So, when the Arabian plate and the African plates of the Nile River came together, it made parts of it to rise up to make shallow, rocky areas, thus creating the cataracts. I don't know about you, but aren't you glad you don't have to pretty much risk your life to go to the grocery store or shop for clothes? Thought you're upset this history lesson thing. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it's called. This oral presentation for the Nile cataracts. I hope you enjoyed. See you later, peeps.
A little kid know more than we do about the cataracts and if you can or can't sail, what areas you can and can't sail in. Okay? So, them Afrocentrics never taught you niggas this shit. Nope. They wanted to keep you of these, you know what? Let me just, one more. Listen to the homie here.
Egypt is quite unique when it comes to geographic isolation. Now to the north, the Mediterranean, you have the Sahara, and down you have the cataracts. It made the river unnavigable.
He said it made the river unnavigable. Meaning you can't navigate with a bunch of rocks, bunch of shallow water. You're gonna kill your damn self. When them wooden boats hit a fucking rock. Do you guys know wood cracks? Do you guys know when I was in the Navy, if something hit the goddamn ship and put a hole in it or whatever, any kind of damage to the ship, you have crews come rushing to put this to patch up this motherfucking hole so the sink don't ship. It's red lights everywhere. Emergency, emergency, and crews get to working. Do you know if one of these boats got cracked hitting a rock, it's over? let the homie finish.
Not navigate. Now to the north, the Mediterranean, you have the Sahara, and down you have the cataracts. It made the river unnavigable. You cannot navigate, and that's a key for the protection of Egypt at a border city like Aswan.
It's key to protect the borders of Egypt around the place called Aswan, where you begin in southern Egypt and its enemies that were to the south. The cataract protected Egypt from its nappy-headed enemies called the Nubians.
At the southern frontier, you need to protect Egypt, do you? Well, you have the cataract on the Nile, and the Nile was a superhighway for the Egyptians. And if you have the cataract...
The Nile was a superhighway for who? For the Egyptians. Not the Nubians. For the Egyptians.
Outcrops of granite, they are going to stop navigation. That's perfect for the ancient Egyptian empire.
He's on the goddamn Nile. How you gonna tell him? He's talking to you while he's on the Nile. He knows better than you. Shut your black American mouth. Okay, so where am I going now? So I just wanted to touch on the cataracts and clear up the misinformation Jonathan Owens was telling you about cataracts, as if you can just pick up your boat, walk a few feet, put your boat back down, and keep sailing. Jonathan don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And he's lying and telling you that so he can blend the Nubians in with the Egyptians and to be the same person, because he's a magi. The Nine Bows, which was a form of a Nubian tribe, but they were the police. Jonathan knows the Magi was the police fighting for their Caucasian master, the Egyptians. Jonathan knows that the Magi, a form of a Nubian tribe who was fighting for their colonial masters, the Caucasian Egyptians, that the Magi was banging on Nubians because they was the police for Egyptians. So them black Magi was turncoats, killing and banging on Nubians and not letting them cross the borders and cataracts. Oh, y'all didn't know this? The Magi archers are the police and turncoats. They didn't give a fuck. Long as they was getting paid, they would turn on anyone. They would buck dance and bootlick for anybody as a paid contractor. Them Caucasian Egyptians said, go smoke them Nubians, put them in the dirt. And here go the Magi shooting arrows through their motherfucking chests. The Magi fucked up the Hyksos too, another enemy of the Egyptians. Oh, the Magi was a cold group of people. But best believe they was banging on Nubians. Okay? Now, where else do I want to go? We talked about the cataract bullshit. We talked about Herodotus, Afrocentrics. We cleared up that there is Mediterranean people. We cleared up that Egypt is a Mediterranean culture. Let's go here then. Oh, okay, so now we're going to get into pre-dynastic Egypt. That's where I was going. That's where the fuck I was going. Hold on. Oh, we having class tonight. Let me see what the chat's talking about and take me a little brief break and read what the chat talking about. Yeah, Miss Acadia, yeah, it's unnavigable at certain parts. That's the cataract, where the cataracts are. Plus, the Nile going throughout the other countries besides Egypt, they go back and forth and all in different angles. You be going against yourself. If you're trying to get to Egypt from anywhere down from Ethiopia and Sudan, the Nile would not be the right thing to take. Because you would be going miles backward and then turn around and going and hitting the cataract. And it's just impossible. This is why the Nubians weren't and are not considered a seafaring people. They're more of a desert people. See, people in North Africa and the Egyptians were able to flow up and down the Nile go all into the Mediterranean Sea and do travel and trade with other Mediterranean cultures and shit. I got, as we go on, I'm gonna be showing how they was trading and doing business with Greeks pre-dynastic times. This is all why those Mediterranean people look similar. This is why they were thriving, and it's why Egypt thrived. They were able to trade and do business, on a scale that the Nubians weren't able to. Now, in pre-dynastic times, a lot of them people who came from... Oh, we're going to get into it. Let me just get into it. Let me just read some comments. Listen here. See, I'm different than Amin Ra Squad and all these other people. I don't have no fucking agenda. I have no agenda. I make no money off of Egypt history and none of this shit. I'm not a whole... So I can freely tell the truth. I can freely teach facts. I'm not trying to skew the facts to make it fit my agenda, and because I'm trying to hotep hustle, and because I've been saying for 20 years the Egyptians were black, so now I got this foolish pride where I can't back up. I can't backpedal because I got foolish pride now. I don't want people to think I was ever wrong in the past. It's going to fuck with my reputation if I say the Egyptians weren't black, because I've been saying they black for so fucking long. See, people got these mental issues and shit. I don't have none of that shit. I'm not selling Egyptian clothing and Abju wear and shit. I'm not trying to give you guys hope and shit that you may be or have some kind of relation. I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting it down in the harshest way. Bring your black asses back home to West Central Africa. I'm not going to leave no hole for any nigga to go, any running back to try to go up the middle with. Guess who I am? I'm that motherfucking middle linebacker. When you think you got a hole, or hey, I can hang on this thread, or maybe, and you see a hole, you want to run the ball up the middle, here I am. Just wait. Lighten your ass up when you come up the middle. Chief X. Wait a minute. Chief X, a.k.a. the middle linebacker. Sacking Afrocentrics. Knocking their motherfucking helmet off their head. Don't try it. Oh, you think you know? You think you got something? You ain't coming up the middle. No, you're not getting a 1 yard gain. Oh, man. Oh, man. Let me see if I got some comments I missed. Okay. What did I want to do next? Oh, pre-dynastic Egypt. We're going to talk about cattle, and we're going to talk about camels, and we're going to talk about Naquata period, Mauritius. I can never say this word right. They say it short, Amara period. Excuse me. I was drinking it. I made a smoothie. Bananas, apples. I'm almost finished. I'm on a diet. Bananas, apples, protein powder, and kale is in that smoothie. Okay, so where we at? Let me get back to sharing my screen. And part 2. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so even in genetics, this is the European Journal of Human Genetics. It's telling you here. They're talking about the genetic relationship of European, Mediterranean, and Southeast Asian populations using a panel of 5 AI SNPs. Clearly, in science, there is a Mediterranean population or a Mediterranean people. You guys got to fight science. Don't fight me. Right? So, Brother Reggie did a presentation on Sonetta TV, and he used this article to mind game you. Right? I hope you guys can see it. And the only way he used it is because it had this title right here. Let me blow it up so you guys can see. Because it had this title right here that said present-day Egyptians are genetically different from the ancient Egyptians. An important research reveals. Now, he came with that because we were showing proof that the modern-day Egyptians are the ancient Egyptians. So what he did was, and you guys didn't catch it, but I did, he didn't go through this article because it backs everything I say. They're talking about they didn't go deep enough into the Coptic Egyptian component. They went into the Muslim Egyptians and tested them. But from my understanding and from this article, they didn't test the Coptic population. I may be wrong, but that's just what I took from this, right? So that's what it meant. So some differences, and they were hoping that Coptic people could be added, right? And this article totally 100% agrees with the article we've been reading about the genetics of North African people, okay? So I'm just going to go to the bottom because as I'm watching Brother Reggie give his presentation and skip totally over this and just show you the title to throw your mind off that the modern day Egyptians and ancient Egyptians are different, he didn't touch the article. He let this sit on the screen because he knew you would read it and say, "Oh, Reggie found something." He didn't go into the article. But let me show you what the person of it hold on. One of his colleagues had said. So at the end of his article, here he goes, the guy who wrote the article, right? And he's saying, "Thank you. It will always be good to mention the references you use," right? And the references one of his co-workers or colleagues were using was right here. And I just want to show you something. Where is it at? Hold on. Okay, right here. He was talking about the different people and the types of people. He was talking about Minoans, Phoenicians, Mesopotamians, later the Greeks and Romans. And what he called it? He said it's all people of Mediterranean. Mediterranean people. That's what Reggie didn't show you. Okay, so let me move on from that. So in science, they talk about Mediterranean people in the relations to other Mediterranean people, right? Okay, so let's go to pre-dynastic Egypt. So a lot of times you talk about the Naqada period, which is pre-dynastic Egypt, right? So here we go. Listen, the Amritian culture, also called Naqada I, was an archaeological culture of what? Prehistoric Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt. It lasted approximately from 4000 to 3500 BC. Who are these people? Because when I said North Africans, people from the Near East, the Levant, have been migrating in and out And all around Egypt and North Africa for 30,000 years, people start having a heart attack and act like Chief X was tripping. Nope. I had the links to prove this, right? And people ask me a question, well, when did Egypt form? And did it come from the south and shit like that? I said, yeah, it came from the south. The southern area of Egypt. Not the south as in Sudan and Nubia, right? But pre-dynastic Near Eastern people, Mesopotamian peoples, people of the Levant, has been going up and down the Nile River for a long time. They were all down in Nubia. Prove this shit, Chief X. Okay, let's go. Nakata culture, or I can't pronounce this word never right. Amrashan culture, okay, is a prehistoric culture in Upper Egypt, meaning southern Egypt, okay? So, the Amaratian culture, or let's just say Nakata. Nakata 1, named after the archaeological site of El Amra, located around 120 kilometers south of Badari in Upper Egypt, right? Or the first site where this culture group was found without being mingled with later Gerza culture, which is Nakata 2. However, this period is better attested to the Nagata site, okay? Let me zoom out, because one second, bear with me, so I can see better. Okay, so this culture had shit like black top pottery, right? And let's just see what black top pottery is so you can understand. This is what you consider Egyptian or black top pottery that was in southern Egypt, close to Nubia, and the Nakata culture produced this shit, right? A wonderful example of pre-dynastic pottery, right? With smooth sides, right? I just want to show you that this is pre-dynastic pottery, okay? Let me get back to where I was. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So I was just showing you that it shows this black top pottery. Let me expand this again. Okay? Continue to be produced. I want this to make sense, so let me be careful how I do this. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to just keep it simple. These are clay model of forehead cattle. You know where cattle came from, right? Outside of Egypt, the Near East, right? That's where the cattle came, okay? A lot of these pots come from the same people, right? We're going to get into this. Look, Egyptian disc-shaped macehood, 4,000, 3,400 BC. Guess what it says? What? Mesopotamian style. I want you to see Mesopotamian style. Where's Mesopotamia? Okay, let's keep going. Bearded figures of basically what looks like Mesopotamian men. We're going to keep going. Hold on. Right? And they found a mummy from pre-dynastic Egypt. Let's take a look at the mummy. From the Nakata period. There we go. This is the Jebelian pre-dynastic mummy, as you see. I'm not making this up. This is primary fucking evidence in the British Museum. Look at his hair. You niggas know that's Caucasian hair. All in pre-dynastic Egypt in the mummies, and above him, on the side of him in his left shoulder, you can see some of the pottery. You can't see this blonde or ginger or whatever color hair this is? This ain't nappy people head. You can't show me no nappy-headed people running shit in pre-dynastic Egypt. You have no proof that outshines this. That's a close-up of his head. You know what I mean? Sit y'all tail down somewhere. Well, let's just real briefly talk about or just explain real quick. Hold on. Gibellian pre-dynastic mummies. And they go one right here with looking like blonde hair and Caucasian hair, all in a fetal position. Created when? Late pre-dynastic period. In the British Museum. The Gibellian pre-dynastic mummies are 6 naturally mummified bodies dating to approximately 3400 BC from the late pre-dynastic period of ancient Egypt. They were the first complete pre-dynastic bodies to be discovered. The well-preserved bodies were excavated at the end of the 19th century by Wallace Budge. Wallace Budge calls the ancient Egyptians the Reth. Not Rimage, okay? But anyway, the British museum keeper for Egyptology from shallow sand graves near Gibellian in the Egyptian desert. Budge excavated all the bodies from the same gravesite. 2 were identified as male and 1 as female, with the others being undetermined sex. All around Abydos. You heard of Abydos. Abydos is the same thing. So basically it's Caucasian clothing. Look at this Caucasian right here. The head of EA 32751 showing the preserved hair. Photo taken in 2011. Look at that preserved hair. Is you mad yet? And all this other shit. See, this is the artwork. This little piece of art right here was what you're seeing next to him. Right? So when we go back to talking about the pre-dynastic period, what? The Amrashan culture, a.k.a. Naquata culture, you see the depictions of the black pottery and the model of cattle and shit in pre-dynastic Egypt and shit. Mesopotamian style shit, you know what I mean? All this artwork, this is all artwork outside of Egypt, right? Early Naquata period. Okay, so let's put some other clues together. These are cattle, right? Well, Chief X, what is the origin of cattle? You said they come from the Near East, Saudi Arabia, and outside of Africa, into Africa. All the goats and shit like that. Yeah. Here we go. Cattle are descended from a wild ancestor called the Aruks. The Aruk were huge animals which originated, wait a minute, let's just blow this up so you niggas can see. Cattle are descended from a wild ancestor called the Aruk. The Aruks were huge animal which originated on the subcontinent of India and then spread into China, the Middle East, and then eventually to North Africa in Europe. And all the things are coming from there. the Near East, the Levant. Okay, so that's the history of this cattle. Okay, Chief X, what about camels? Because what we see here hold on. Okay. So, camels, right? Camels, right? Camels. Guess what? Camels on that rock art in the Green Sahara. You know how y'all talk about the Green Sahara and those people, eventually populated the Nile Valley. Nile Valley is Egypt, not any other place. Now, when you say Nile River, then you're talking about something else. But Nile Valley is Egypt. So, camel, you see on the walls, on the rock art, in the Sahara rock art. Y'all told me sub-Saharan Africans was in there. Nope. Even pre-dynastic Egypt, even coming out of the Sahara, when the Sahara dried up, then people went towards water and went towards the Mediterranean Sea and went towards rivers, right? They went north, is what the scholars say. And we all know who's in North Africa for the last 25, 30,000 years. Let's be real, family. Camels was on a rock art. Where them camels come from, Chief X? Oh, let's talk about it. Oh, okay. Camels. Wait a minute, that ain't it. Hold on. Let me get... Okay, here we go. Camels. There we go. We're on the camels, right? Let's go to the history of the fucking camel. Okay, here we go. The history of the camel. Look who's on the camels. Even in China, they had camels, the Tang dynasty. But check it out. When humans first domesticated camels is disputed. The first domesticated dromedaries may have been in where? Southern Arabia, 3000 BC. Or what? In Central Asia, 2500 BC. Huh? So they didn't say sub-Saharan Africa? So all them camels you seen on the green art, on the rock art, come from the origins in Southern Arabia, Levant, Central Asia? Yeah, this is pre-dynastic Egypt culture, niggas. I was gonna save this for just one specific. I wanted to debate somebody on who the people who came out the Sahara and where did they go. So, because I've been researching a lot of this, but I just have to use it now. I was going to spank somebody's ass with this information. Ankh. Ask Ankh where the camels come from and why are the camels on this rock art. Now, another thing what you niggas do, we're some brown camels. Because it's some brown people on the rock art. So Ankh is doing the lookership thing because they were brown people. That means they're black. Nope. They're brown camels and they're white camels. They just drew in different fucking colors. This is a white camel and this is a brown camel. Does that mean the camels were white? I mean, they used whatever they fucking had for contrast against whatever. Because you see dark people on rock art does not mean that they're sub-Saharan African people. That's dumb shit. Camels in Saharan rock art. Can y'all see? Can you see that? So obviously, all them people in the north, just like I said, for 30,000 years have been floating in and out and around all through North Africa, all through the Mediterranean, all up and down the Nile River, all the way down to Nubia, back up the Nile, and all that shit. They probably stopped at the cataract right there on Aswan and shit. And then I said later on, the more it got populated, then they formed the nation state Egypt. And Narmer, who was an Egyptian from Thinis, not fucking Sudan, unified the two, Upper and Lower Egypt. But there have been people all up and down that Nile, all the way down to Nubia, for thousands of years. And those people are Near Eastern people, Levant people, and North Africans. They've been flowing up and down that Nile River while Nubians haven't been able to do it because of cataracts. So all that shit you see in southern Egypt, Caucasians. Yep. So all this, the Green Sahara shit, you guys thought you found an eagle? I said, you guys got to, hold on. Hold the fuck on. I said to anybody to debunk my Black Egypt, Black Egypt debunked, for anybody to debunk that video, they're going to have to go outside of dynastic Egypt and go further back years and try to find a thread to hang on to, or try to find some hole to go up the middle with, and you guys have failed. So what people did was, since they couldn't deal with my argument, they couldn't deal with my facts of who the Egyptians really are, they went further outside of the time frame of the achievements of the ancient Egyptians. Pre-dynastic peoples. So what I said was, okay, I'll humor you. So you've lost on non-Black Egypt. You guys waved the white flag on that one. So now you're taking me to the Green Sahara in pre-dynastic times and trying to work that angle. I just shut that angle down. Where can you go now? Them sub-Saharan Africans wasn't fucking with no camels. That shit got introduced to them. Everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, Chief is right there like the middle linebacker. Waiting for a nigga to come up that middle. Hot! Y'all know I'm just clowning. Right, okay. Now, Dr. Banu said cops have the most... I haven't been reading the comments. I just seen this last comment right now. Cops have the most cultural continuity with our forebears' language. Right. That article I was reading that I didn't go into, that I said Reggie didn't even go into, it clearly states that. So now I'm like, why don't they do more DNA research on the cops? Who are more than likely closer, or the closest thing to what the original Egyptian was and spoke. You ain't gonna find no nappy-headed Coptic-speaking people. Just not. So, yeah, you're right about them cops. Okay, let me share my screen. I got some more daggers. No darker than a suntan and Mediterranean climate. Colchians are black. Oh my God. Okay, we touched on all that. Okay. So I don't know if y'all can see this, but uh, what was the date on this? But it was about 6 months ago. I did a video. I titled it "Ankh and Smash Rockwell Debunked on Pottery Debate." I went into the dotted wavy line pottery and wavy line pottery. I went into blacktop pottery and I showed them the origins of it. And I showed them the shit coming from the Near East. And I've been put these niggas in the dirt. I'm just revamping some shit and bringing another angle today. Okay? So hold on. So we've shown the pre-dynastic people and the Kata people and their mummy. We've shown them having Caucasian hair. We've shown the origins of the cattle and the camel and where it came from in pre-dynastic Egypt. So let's just go into here we are. Egypt, Mesopotamian relations. How far back do these relations go? See, these niggas been having relations for a long time. Y'all didn't know. You guys, they did trade some shit with Nubians as they were in southern Egypt. But let's just go talk about it. Egypt, Mesopotamian relations. Egypt, Mesopotamian relations were the relations between the civilizations of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia in the Middle East. They seem to have developed from the 4th millennium BC, starting to the Uruk period, from Mesopotamia, circa 4000, 3100 BCE. Half a millennium younger than the Gurzian culture of prehistoric Egypt. So you see, I put the Gurzian, you see this pot? I showed you this pot next to the mummy with the Caucasian hair. You see the lady to the left of this pot? These are Caucasian figurines of pre-dynastic Egypt. All this shit is Mesopotamian related. A lot of Mesopotamian symbolisms. Let's keep going. And constituted a largely one-way body of influences from where? Mesopotamia into Egypt. Nubians and sub-Saharan Africans are not influencing the Mediterranean world and the Mediterranean peoples. The only thing they needed from you niggas was gold and ivory. Get that gold for us. So yeah, they got some materials and shit from Nubia. Okay? Prior to a specific Mesopotamian influence, they had already been a long-standing influence from where? West Asia into Egypt. God damn. Look, it says prior to a specific Mesopotamian influence, there had already been a what? Not just an influence from West Asia, a long-standing influence from West Asia into Egypt, North Africa, and even into some parts of the Horn of Africa and the Sahel, in the form of Neolithic revolution, which from circa 9,000 BC, right? Mesopotamia, okay, look. Neolithic revolution, which from circa 9,000 BC diffused advanced agricultural practices and technology, gene flow, certain animals, and possibly Proto-Afro-Asiatic language into the region. Okay, the Afro-Asiatic language is coming up out of these areas. This is simple, basic, common sense science. Mesopotamian influences can be seen in the visual arts of Egypt, in architecture, in technology, weaponry, in imported products, and what? Livestock. And all like cattle and shit like that. And also in the likely transfer of writing from Mesopotamia to Egypt. and generated deep-seated parallels in the early stages of both cultures. Now, do I need to go into agricultural culture and where that started? They're going to take your ass to Mesopotamia and the Near East also. The Levant, that's where they're going to take you. Look, right here it even says Mesopotamian-style pottery in Egypt. Adoption of Mesopotamian-style mace heads. Neo-Assyrian Empire. I mean, like, it's like even right here. Mesopotamian king on Egyptian prehistoric knife. This is the Jebelian knife, just like the Jebelian mummy. Look, Mesopotamian king. As masters of animals on the top of the handle. This work of art shows the influence of Mesopotamian on Egypt. I mean, I can go on and on. Mesopotamian style pottery in Egypt. Oh, it goes all into shit. Now, should I go all here? Hold on. Tell Ankh to explain why they had camels all on the rock art. And ask Brother Ankh, ask anyone from the Amun-Ra squad where those camels came from. Ask them, why does this Jebelian mummy pre-dynastic time, all in southern Egypt, why does he have Caucasian hair? Tell them to answer that. So I was going to go all into Neolithic revolution and agriculture and where agriculture came from, and then it came into Africa. And like, I mean, it's a shit. Just about all the sciences is not in sub-Saharan or Black Americans' favor. It's just, the science. You can't win with science. The DNA supports what I've been saying. The DNA goes against Afrocentrics big time. Like, it basically puts them in the dirt. This is why Asar and Wujao is running from DNA topics when it comes to the ancient Egyptians in the ancient world. They act like it don't matter, but it matters in the most sense. It matters more than the archaeology and anthropology. It seriously matters. It's like the final nail, the final decision to close a court case. DNA will shut it down. Did this guy commit this murder or rape? Well, we have the genome map now. Let's do some DNA tests on this prisoner. Oh, he's exonerated. The DNA proved him not guilty. Let him out. DNA is king, and it's not in your favor, Afrocentrics. So I wanted to just go through this, and I just killed it all. If you just really think about it and go over and listen and pay attention to what I'm saying and all this common sense that I put together and all these hints I put together regarding the pre-dynastic Egypt, the camels, Herodotus, the Colchians. What up, Kim? Yeah, I'm home. I'm in for the night. What's up? Carry a table inside your house? Too heavy for you? Why, you coming to get me? You want me to come there or you coming to get me? Okay, I mean, I'm forgetting. I'm like, oh, come pick me. Okay, I'll do that and I'll bring you that Louis purse.
Bring me my Louis.
The Louis purse, and you just want me to help you bring a table
And my joint.
in a joint. Okay.
And my two joints.
Okay, I'll roll you 2 joints. And I'll help you with your table. Okay, I'm on a live right now, so I'll finish up in about 5 minutes and I'll call you.
Okay. All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Excuse me, y'all. That was my ex-wife. We still cool. She wanted me to help bring a table in her house or something. And some weed. And a Louis Vuitton purse I came across. So, we you know what? Even the African human period which is the drying up of the Sahara, right? The agricultural revolution, Neolithic revolution. It's so detailed. I was going to go into all that to debunk y'all too. But I just don't feel like going. I don't have time for that. It's too detailed and y'all don't have the patience. I've been going for 2 hours and 12 minutes already. Let me see if I have any questions. And somebody said they're going to claim Bulgaria next. Like, no, wait a minute. Just think about this. You guys cannot continue to miseducate our black kids with this bullshit y'all into. This shit, I mean, I know you've been imbued. I know you've been brainwashed with all this BS for fucking 4 decades, and you thought this and you thought. We cannot continue another generation of this fake-ass history, these lies, and my kids and the next generation is not going to be a laughingstock of the world of academia if I can help it. And you guys should feel the same way. Get off your selfish ways and stop thinking selfishly about you and your fucking foolish pride and all this mental shit you going through. Fuck you. It's about our children. This shit is deeper than you guys really think. On a world stage, we are looking crazy. And we can't have that. We have to shut down this misinformation today. And all y'all listening need to stand on it. And stop being scared of your social media friends. Stop being scared to tell the truth. Tell these niggas to shut their fucking mouth. You a fucking liar. And tell Garfield to shut his mouth. Stop talking. I was going to do a video on Garfield today, but this was more important. I can fuck with Garfield any day. Because this reparations topic is coming up again. And niggas is jockeying for position and avoiding giving credit to where credit is due. If Tim Hardaway, former member of the Golden State Warriors, Tim Hardaway, he's known for the crossover. Give him his props and his dues. Don't take away his shine. You give Yvette, Carnell, and Tone they shine for the reparations conversation that nobody for 2 decades was talking about until Yvette and Tone came on the scene advocating. No, see, people, Yvette and Tone are not politicians. One is a political science major who used to work on Capitol Hill, and one is an attorney who understands constitutional law. So when you niggas is talking about reparations, if you don't have an attorney on the panel, shut your fucking mouth. Because all you're doing is pontificating, throwing out bad, wrong information and shit like that. Nope. Yvette and Tone laid out the guidelines, how it's supposed to be done. You give them credit. Wasn't no politicians talking about reparations in 20 years until Yvette Tone came on the scene. You give them their props. In a year and a half from now, that election season fever is going to pop up again. Because the next president, and this ADO shit, this reparations conversation is going to blow up big again. So you prepare your mind now to shut these Jamaican Americans up right now. Don't even shut your mouth talking about our shit and spitting fire on our benefit and our movement. And you line up with the founders of ADOS and be a real righteous and fair person. They are just an advocacy movement. They're not politicians. Because I heard someone say, well, who are they? They just talking. Why are they just talk? That's what advocacy is. When you advocate for something, just look up the definition of advocacy. You're supposed to talk. You're supposed to drum up the fever in the people. Like a child advocate, you're advocating for children's rights. You're talking, you're pushing. You're finding lobbyists. You're doing things. You're creating the discussion. You're doing political education so the people can understand, and you're advocating for a benefit for African Americans. That's it. Other than that, y'all are putting too much on them. Talking about they just talking, or they not. They've never claimed to be a politician. They're not a president. They're not a congressman. They're not none of that shit. They're not in the legislature. They're an advocacy movement. Keep it simple. And they've done a damn good job of advocating for reparations for Black Americans. They got the finance, how should I term it? They got all the data. Dr. Darity did. They put together a team. Yvette Carnell regularly used to have book clubs, and they focused on a book that talked about the periods during the slavery, redlining, the penal system, peonage system, per se. And they've laid all this out. None of y'all have listened to them. They've laid it all. Now, everybody else is talking about it based off of their advocacy. Can we keep that real? So when this election season come around, line up behind the leaders of the reparations advocacy movement, which is Tone and Yvette, ADOS. Anybody talking about FBA is trying to subvert the reparation movement and turn it into some entertainment, into some fuckboy shit. That's what Tariq Nasheed is doing. He's an entertainer chasing clout and trying to get you guys to pay him to pontificate and miseducate you guys. And he stole intellectual property and stole 50% of what the ADOS movement has been talking about and teaching, incorporated into his FBA bullshit, and coupled it with entertainment, and threw some conferences and charged you niggas an arm and a leg to go to his fucking conference that didn't amount to shit. Leave Tariq Nasheed and these motherfucking entertainers alone. Fuck FBA. Every time I hear motherfuckers say FBA, I say, yeah, he on some fuck shit. These niggas ain't real. I said, yeah, they ain't real. These are Tariq Nasheed followers. These are entertainment ass niggas. They ain't not about credentials with lawyers and people with political science degrees who are professionals in the field of law and political science. That's who I fuck with. In regards to reparations, get these fucking entertainers out your motherfucking face. Don't you mention FBA in my presence. There's no such thing in my book. I support ADOS. And if I hear anybody going against a benefit for my grandchildren and children, I'm coming for you, plain and simple. This is war. We at war for the minds of our people. And ain't no Jamaican American gonna fuck around and fuck off a benefit for my grandchildren. He is not gonna spread no negative shit on a reparations movement if I can help it. I wish you bitch ass niggas get on the same page instead of sucking his dick so goddamn much. You punish this motherfucker. You niggas would be the turncoats in history that was going against the Underground Railroad. That's who you niggas is. When you mention FBA and when you kiki with Garfield, you are them same turncoat motherfuckers who would be the turncoats in the Underground Railroad for people's freedom. That's how serious this shit is. This is the modern day civil rights movement, is the advocacy for reparations. And if you ain't on that and down with it and support it, you on some fuck shit. It's about closing the wealth gap. You're not going to close it. You're going to be far behind, but at least you can get a little closer and get some benefits and set-asides. Fuck the money. The reparative justice is about programs and set-asides more so than money, if you didn't know. Maybe you niggas need to go back and see the ADOS websites where we talked about set-asides and benefits and how in certain run-down areas in the hood, they want to improve infrastructure. This is part of reparative justice. I live in a hood. If they repaired infrastructure in my hood, oh my God, I'm happy about that. That's reparative justice, a form of it. If they said free college for black children for the next 30 years, that's reparative justice, which will enable black folk to be educated. The more educated, the more money you make, and this shit snowballs and it trickles down and goes all kind of, if when you get an educated people. All these black kids got a college education now. Oh, we CEOs now, right? We on Wall Street now. We educated. We running tech shit, and not just Nigerian immigrants and shit. We running tech shit now. We got that. See, all this reparative justice helps that shit and helps close the wealth gaps just in the field of science and technology. Y'all be looking at it all wrong. Is because you blind leading the blind and you listen to all these fuck niggas hate on the movement. This shit is simple. The American dream. Like, let me explain so you can understand better. If there was a modern day civil rights and upliftment movement, this reparations advocacy movement is number one. It is probably the only thing that could change the direction of progress and close the wealth gap a little bit and put some people who are willing and understand on the right track. It's a benefit to our future generations. So yes, this is one of the most important conversations for black people since the civil rights era. It's that fucking deep. All right. I'm out, y'all. Repping the wood, repping that West Side LA. Black Power.